Okay, now it's time to actually solve some equations. So look at your x and what's its highest power. It's to the second, so there are two answers. Now I look at my x's. I've got x to the second and I've got regular x. So those are not like terms. So we need to make sure the zero's there, and then we underline and then factor. There's two terms, so I look for GCF. And then with only two terms, I look for a DOPS, difference of perfect squares. GCF, I do not have the negative in front. I do have x on both of them, so I'm going to put an x. And 7 and 21, 7's much smaller, it's prime. 1 and 7 is it, and you can divide those both by 7. Okay, so 7x is pulled out. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. And then x minus 3, and those x's cancel. Okay, we got a minus, but 3 is not a perfect square, so forget about the DOPS. So we parenthesize the 7x. That's important because it has x, and that's f1, and that's f2. So you take f1, set that equal to 0, and f2, set that equal to 0. So I divide by 7, and I get 0. Then I plus 3, 1x equals 3. 0 and 3. Okay, look at your x. What power is it to? It's to the second, so two answers. Now I look through that, I see x squared, and I have x. Okay, so I'm going to have to factor this. I make sure the zero's there. And now I underline the terms on the other side. There's 3 of them, so it'll be the GCF and then the trinomial t-chart. GCF, I do not appear to have a negative in front. I don't have x on everything, and 1 is the smallest. So if 1's a GCF, just don't do that. You can't be afraid to cross out boxes. A, B, C. So I take A times C, so positive 1 times negative 63. That's negative 63, so you're looking for a difference that's going to equal 2. Fail. 2 is a decimal. 63 divided by 3 is 21, but that still doesn't work. 63 divided by 4 is a decimal. 63 divided by 5 is a decimal. 63 divided by 6 is a decimal. 63 divided by 7 is 9. Okay, 9 minus 7 is 2. That'll work. So I've got minus on 2, so you got to have minus 9, and then difference, they have to be the opposite. So A equals 1 here, so I just need 2 parentheses, so x times x plus 7 minus 9. There was no GCF, so here we go. That's f1, and that's f2. So x plus 7 can equal 0, or x minus 9 can equal 0. So minus 7, negative 7. Plus 9, 1x equals 9. We don't need to divide by 1. Those are your two answers. Okay, moving on up. Okay, highest power for x here is the first power because I don't see any 2's, so there's only one answer, okay? Not only that, the only kind of x you have is just x, okay? So if that's the only kind I have, let's get the x's on the same side first before I worry about anything else. So let's take this and subtract it. Let's drop our equals, and we have negative 2x, because 2 minus 4 is negative 2, plus 3, and then 10. Then let's get that x by itself. Minus 3, so negative 2x, and that's 7. So divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and that's negative 3.5. Okay, next one. Put a 1 there. Highest power you ever see x to is the second. Okay, so there's two solutions. Okay, so I've got x squared and I've got x. Well, where's my 0? I don't have it. I need to get it. So I add 1x to the second. And I'm going to add that to the 3x to the second. And then I have plus 2x, so I minus 2x from negative 10x. And then I will have my 0. Anytime we got x squared along with x, you have to get the equation equal to 0. Okay, 3 plus 1 is 4. Now don't add the little 2's together. You keep those the same. It's not a multiplying thing. Negative 10 minus 2 is negative 12x, and then minus 7. Okay, so now we have 3 terms, so I make my trinomial, or my GCF, and then my trinomial T-chart. GCF, negative in front, no way. You don't have, and then you do not have x on 7, and then 4 is your smallest, so 4, 1, 4, 2, and 2. Can you divide those all by 4? No, 7 won't, and you can't divide them all by 2. Well, that leaves me with 1, which means I don't need to worry about that. Okay, so I take a times c, I take positive 4 times negative 7, that gives me negative 28. So it's negative, so we're looking for a difference that equals the 12. 28 minus 1 is not 12. 14 minus 2 is 12. Okay, so I've got minus 12, so you got minus on 14, and on a difference the signs can't match. It's plus 2 and minus 14. Okay, we know that a is 4, so I'm going to need 2 lines of parentheses here. And I lead off with 4, x a second, xx, and then plus 2 and minus 14. Okay, so my smaller ones are 2 and 4. Factors of 2, 1 and 2, and I'm pretty sure you can divide those both by 2. So 2x plus 1. Okay, 4, 1 and 4, 2 and 2. You can't divide 14 by 4, but you can divide it by 2. 2x minus 7. And I had no GCF, so F1 and F2. So F1 is set equal to 0, and F2 is set equal to 0. Factor 1, factor 2. So I have minus 1, 2x equals negative 1, and then I divide by 2. Negative 1 divided by 2 is negative. You can just leave that if it's a decimal, because we're not doing story problems here with this. We will, but not yet. So divide by 2, and again, it's not a story problem, so I can put 7 over 2. You can divide it. It's not going to hurt anything, but I usually don't if I'm not solving a story problem. Okay, 7x to the second power equals 14x. So the highest power you ever see x to is to the second. Okay. So since I've got x squared and I've got regular x, I need a 0. Right now I don't have it, so I'm minus 14x. But I can't do that with 7x to the second. That's a no-fly zone, so I put minus 14x kind of above the equals. So I drop the equals, and over here we have 0. On the other side, you're going to write 7x to the second minus 14x. Okay? Now, you do that so now you can count the terms. You have 1 and 2, so we go with GCF. And then we will check to see if we have a difference of 2 perfect squares, because there are 2 terms. GCF, negative in front, nope. You have x on both. And then 7 would be smallest. 7's a prime number, meaning it's just 1 and 7. And you can divide 7 and 14 by 7, okay? So 7x, and 7x. So 7 divided by itself is 1. X second over x is x. 14 divided by 7 is 2. And that cancels. Okay. Okay, is this a difference of perfect squares? Well, it's a minus, but 2 is not on the board as a perfect square. The perfect squares are 1, 4, 9. It goes over 2. So we cross that out. So 7x, wrap him up, and that's F1, and that's F2. So 7x equals 0, 1x minus 2 is 0. Divided by 7, that's 0. Plus 2, I get 2. 0 and 2. Okay, next one. X is to the second, so there are 2 answers. Now, what do I have? I have x to the second. Now, do I have x to go along with it? Yeah, I do. So I need to have my 0. Okay. So I minus 8, and that goes with the 20 because neither has an x. I plus 3x, and that would go nicely with the 4x. So now what do I have? I have 1x to the second. I have positive 7x. And positive 20 minus 8 is positive 12. Now you do that, so now you can underline your terms, and there's 3 of them. So we go with the GCF and the T-chart. So GCF, negative in front, I don't believe so. You don't have X on all your lines, and 1's the smallest, which its only factor is 1. Okay, ABC. I take A times C, so it's positive 1 times positive 12, and that makes positive 12. So sum of 7. 1 and 12, nope, that's 13. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now 2 plus 6 is close to 7, but it's 8. You're not going to work. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Is that 7? You bet. So I've got plus 7. So plus 4 for sure, and a sum the signs have to match. So plus 3 plus 4. Okay, A is equal to 1, which is nice because I can just make an XX, still parentheses, and then it's plus 3 and plus 4. And we did not have a GCF in the space, so that's F1. I don't need to worry about putting anything there then in F2. Okay, so x plus 3 equals 0, x plus 4 equals 0. So a minus 3, 1x equals negative 3. Minus 4, 1x equals negative 4. Okay. Okay, x is only to the first power, so there's only one answer. And all I have is x, so I don't need a 0, okay? I need to just get the x's first on the same side, so I pick one. Let's go with 3 this time. So I drop the equals, we have a 4, and then you're going to have 5x plus 7. And then I isolate the x, I subtract 7. So negative 3 equals 5x, and then I divide by 5, and I divide that by 5. Negative 3 divided by 5, decimal, you can put negative 3/5, or you can just put negative 0.6, because that's what it divides into. Okay, this one here, x, highest power is a 2. That's how to tell how many answers you have to come up with. And then, now we have x second, and there's also a regular x. So I need to see 0, and I do, so I don't need to move anything. So now I go to my underlines. There's 3. So GCF, and then we go to the T-chart. GCF, negative in front, nope. You got X on everything, nope. 3 is your smallest, so 1 and 3. I really don't believe you can divide all those by 3, so that leaves you with 1. Out of here. So A times C, it's 5 times negative 8, negative 40, difference of 3. Okay. Nope, that's 39. That's 18. 3 is a decimal, 4 and 10. No, that's 6. 5 and 8 minus 5 is 3. Okay. So I have minus 3, so you're going to have minus 8 for sure. And a difference the signs can't match. Okay. Okay, so what is A here? A is equal to 5, so we make 4 parentheses. Okay. So I take my 5, and x, and it's plus 5 and minus 8. Okay, so if they're the same, you just divide by that number, that very number, 1x plus 1, because you're going to have a 1x and a 1. 5, it's prime, so it's just 1 and 5, and we can't divide those by 5, so let's just drop it down. It means dividing by 1 would just keep it the same. And there's no GCF to worry about, so that's F1 and that's F2. So 1x plus 1 equals 0, and 5x minus 8 equals 0. So 1x is negative 1. There's my first solution. 5 times x equals 8. Divide by 5. And I'm just going to leave it 8 over 5.